This is probably one of the most important lessons that you may have seen. I often scroll through my social media pages and seeing some young and inspiring guitar players shredding their ass off, and then suddenly this happens. A bad vibrato is an absolute no-go, and you may have the most incredible sweep and speed picking and legato chops in the world and the most expensive equipment, but all of this doesn't matter if your vibrato sucks. And to prevent you to have a bad vibrato, therefore, today's video. Here we go. And stop. Even when you think you have a decent and well-developed vibrato, please watch this video. Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? I'm Justin Hombach, back from my practice cave, and welcome to today's video. When I was around 17 years old, I sounded like this. Terrible vibrato. But back in the day I thought I have a really great developed vibrato. I heard myself every day practicing, and I got used to my kind of vibrato and that kind of style that I was playing there. And I really not noticed anymore that it was shitty as hell. Until I got a wake-up call. And this was one of the biggest German guitar competitions that we had back in the day, 10 years ago, the Robert Johnson Guitar Awards. And the people who went to this kind of guitar competition are nowadays big games in the German music scene. For example, like this guy here. Michael Wagner, one of the greatest German blues hard rock guitar players. And there, somebody told me, man, you have decent chops, your speed picking is good, your shredding is good, but every time when you're playing a melody, it sounds like shit because of your bad vibrato. And after that, I stopped practicing speed picking, sweep picking, quarter picking or whatnot. I started practicing vibrato. And I want to show you my practice method that I developed during that time in today's video. So then let us check out how we can get from this vibrato to this vibrato. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about basic beginner mistakes that even people who are claiming themselves as professional are still doing. And first of all, it's the wrong movement. Michael Wagner once told in a workshop that I visited that we need a lot of force to bend a string. And from the movement, vibrato is the same like bending, but much smaller with high intensity. So, and how can we gain the strength to bend a string? This definitely not comes from our finger. And this is the first big mistake that a lot of people are doing, that they're trying to bend with their fingers like this. Yeah, no. The movement itself comes from our arm, from an arm rotation, from our wrist rotation called supination and pronation. So it's this kind of movement here. So we need to adapt this movement first, that it's this slightly rotational movement in coming out of our wrist and out of our forearm. Okay, then the next mistake is only using one finger, vibrating and bending strings like this. To get more strength out of our vibratos and our bendings, it's definitely useful to use more than one finger. And for example, when our main finger is the ring finger, then I always keep the middle finger and the index finger behind this to get more strength. I call this the main sheriff, and these two are his deputies. Or I sometimes see people that are still using more than one finger, but the movement is still coming out of the fingers and not out of the wrist. For example, like this. So always use the wrist movement and have more than one finger on your fretboard. And we are here mostly taking a look at the normal electric guitar vibrato, not the one from the classical kind of music, because we don't have that much of an effect on the electric guitar than on a classical nylon guitar or on a fretless guitar. And another big mistake that a lot of people are doing is that they are using the vibrato instantly when they are playing a note. The problem here is our ear first has to realize the normal pitched note and then the alteration that comes through the vibrato. So I highly recommend to play a melody not like this, super annoying. Play it like this. I wait for a short moment before I start with the vibrato, and then I'm building up the vibrato. How we will build up the vibrato and how we can develop that technique, we're going to take a deeper look into that in the second part of this video. Try this out. Just lay down the note, the normal note, and then develop a vibrato on top of it. Alright, these were a few common mistakes that I often see. Now let's talk a little bit about practice habits. Okay, first of all, I often imagine myself with vibrato like a sinus curve. This thing here, I don't know the correct English name for it right now. And there I have two parameters. First, the time, and then second, the intensity of the vibrato. We can practice both of it. So, but first of all, we can play around a little bit with it. For example, we can have a wide vibrato that is really slow, and I often imagine it looking like this. Or we can have a really small vibrato, really fast, for example like this. The first one I would say is more kind of the Marty Friedman and Stevie Ray Vaughan or Zakk Wylde kind of vibrato. And the second one is more like the B.B. King vibrato. So after I realized this, I first trained the timing of my vibrato. And I did this with a metronome. So take yourself a metronome and then try to vibrate a note in certain subdivisions. Okay, I have here now a metronome on 100 BPM, and first we can try to vibrate quarter notes on it. And here it's now not exactly about the pitch where I'm going to. I mean, we can vary in this as well. We can do like half-tone bands or full-tone bands. Also really good bending exercise, but it's more about to get a feeling of the subdivision. Okay, next up we can have 8 notes. Or triplets. Or 60 notes. Or 6-note triplets. And this is a really interesting exercise to get a really cool awareness about the timing and the speed of your vibrato, so that you can control it in your melody and you can build it up or make a variation out of your vibrato in your melody and don't play the same vibrato over and over again. But then it's also really cool to find out, okay, what kind of vibratos are other players doing. Like for example, Yngwie. Yngwie is always using triplets. Really awesome after I've realized this by transcribing some Yngwie solos, and yes, I now come a little bit closer to the Yngwie magic and the Yngwie vibe. But just a little bit. There's still a lot to learn when you want to sound like Yngwie. Alright, and up next we have the intensity. And there I always try around with certain intensities, like for example really small vibratos, and then middle vibratos, or really wide ones. And it doesn't matter if you bend the note downward or upwards. I think for me personally, but this is now a personal taste, that bending downwards on the vibrato is a little bit easier because the pull motion is a little bit easier for me than the push motion. So especially wide vibratos, I always have the pull motion. Okay, and then it's of course really important that you practice to always get back to your original pitch. And therefore I recommend to either record yourself and then slow it down in the recording and really listen to, okay, is the vibrato like this? Oh, sorry. Always coming back to the original pitch, or more like this. When you hear that it sounds like the second version, then you know you have to practice on this. And I would recommend to practice this one as well, really, really slowly, and then increasing the tempo, like on a normal exercise that we have for speed picking or whatnot. So I hope you more and more see how important it is to practice your vibrato and your phrasing as well. It is a technique that has to be practiced. Alright, and then what I love to do while I was really transforming vibrato into something hopefully a bit better than I used to have it when I was in my early 20s. I transcribed a lot. Transcribing by ear is really important. Not learning solos by taps. Even if there are hundreds of taps out there, transcribe it by ear and really find out what they are doing in their phrasing. For example, I play in a Megadeth tribute band and I always listen to the isolated tracks of Marty Friedman's Hangar 18 solo. And there, every time when I'm listening to it or practicing it, I find something else. Find a new secret or a new kind of vibrato sequence, and it always blows my mind how awesome he sounds there. Or The Spirit Carries On from Mr. God himself, Petrucci, and there he perfectly demonstrates how you can have variations in your vibrato and your melody and how you can build it up. And this is also a really good exercise that I have from especially two people, Marcus Demel, awesome German blues guitar player, and none other than Rick Graham, is take yourself a melody with a lot of notes in there that have a longer subdivision, like quarter notes, so it have time to have a vibrato in it, because when you're only playing 8 notes or something, you may not have the time to develop a really good vibrato in this kind of melody. Like for example this melody. And then say for example you start with a small and slow vibrato. And then you increase. And then you increase it in the intensity and the tempo. Or you say you can start with quarter notes and then go to 8 notes, to triplets, to 16 notes, and all this kind of stuff. And with those kind of methods you can give a completely new life to those kind of melodies. And this is really important, and it makes your playing so much more refreshing and so cool instantly. Okay, and so much for today's lesson, this time about vibrato technique. I hope you liked this lesson. If you liked this lesson, then please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, sharing this video. And I hope I'm going to see you in my next video. Cheers so far and stay progress. Hobbala.